Hello and good morning. I hope everyone's doing fine. Breaking news: US and Israel launched an attack against Iran. According to Trump and Netanyahu, this is because negotiations have broken down, and apparently this has been a long time coming. Again, I'm quoting their words. I'm going to cover multiple sides. I'm just giving you like what they've said first. Um, this attack came around 9 in the morning for them, around 1 in the morning Eastern Time. This was Operation Epic Fury, and it was pretty obvious that this was coming to a lot of people who were paying attention, especially when Trump's like, aliens, aliens, release the aliens. We've got so many aliens. We've got the best aliens. And yeah, Tim Pool talked about this. Other people talked about this. So it was kind of expected. We just didn't know exactly when. And Iran also responded by launching their own counterattack on U.S. and Israeli military bases. And I might mess up these names in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE. One civilian died in the UAE attacks. So please be praying for their loved ones and those people over there. I'm going to play just a short clip of what he says. I'm not going to play the whole 8 minutes, but just starting from about the 50-second mark, just to give a few of Donald Trump's own words as to why this is happening. And this is kind of showing like the long run up to it, not the immediate. I'll get to that in a second.
Among the regime's very first acts was to back
Nope, I have it in 2 times speed.
an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes.
Yeah, and he goes on for a while. If you want to see the full video, that's going to be 1 second. That's going to be over on Truth Social. Donald Trump posted this, and so that's a bit of what he has to say about it. And as far as like the immediate reasons, there were nuclear and missile threats. Let's see. Hey guys, real quick, sorry to interrupt the story. This is an edit. I wanted to let you know that I will be using Gemini to help me bring the news to you guys. And it's not that I'm not using actual news articles. You can see all the articles I was looking at and going through up here. However, Gemini does a great job in making sure that it's all together in one place. I did read the articles before just assuming it was correct. I would never want to bring you guys anything that I haven't checked over myself. So this was just a quick way to summarize everything I needed to summarize, and also staying accurate by reading the articles ahead of time, okay? So I'm not saying anything that I haven't checked through a credible news outlet first. Just wanted to say that real quick. And with that said, thanks for your attention, and back to the news. And while there appear to be some progression and agreements made, such as zero accumulation and zero stockpiling of enriched uranium, irreversible fuel, which they would have taken their stockpiles of fuel, blended them down to the lowest possible levels, and converted them into irreversible fuel, and also verification, in which Iran would have agreed to the IAEA inspectors full access to verify these terms were being met. There were other underlying reasons why this still failed. Let's see. One of the main reason I would imagine is actually this one here. There's distrust of intentions U.S. intelligence indicated that, well, Iran might not have restarted a full weapons program. It had undertaken activities that better positioned it to produce a nuclear device if it chose to do so. So, in other words, Iran was positioning itself in an even better position to make nuclear devices, even while putting up the front that it was actually getting rid of its nuclear capabilities. But there were also demands for permanent terms. There was a refusal to dismantle infrastructure, which is one of the things that the Trump administration was demanding. Hi, cat. I love you. My cat's such a good cat. You can get up here. Also, the Trump administration wanted the ballistic missiles to be a part of the deal because these missiles that Iran has, they have the capabilities to reach the U.S. So those were some of the reasons why the negotiations broke down. Now, as to where was struck, there was a joint operation by Israel and the U.S. The strikes were focused in Tehran, Natanz, Asfahan, Karaj, Kermanshah, Kermanshah. Yeah, I'm probably butchering some of these words, some of these names. Qum and Tabriz. However, while this is being reported, and there might be some casualties as it's being reported that a girls' school was hit, and there were dozens of casualties there. However, there is a fog of war factor as well. We can't get in there and verify these claims, and Iran does have a history of lying, and even as it's noted here, sometimes using old or unrelated footage to galvanize international condemnation against the US and Israel. There's also a communications blackout. There's much internet and cellular device disruptions across much of Iran. So verifying the timeline of the strike and the exact coordination is currently nearly impossible for outside agencies. So here's basically a summary of sources and their stances. The Iranian state media, which is also sponsored and funded by the Iranian state, so it receives government paychecks, it reports that it's a deliberate strike on a girls' school and that there are dozens dead. The US says they're aware of the reports, but also say that their targets were strictly military and nuclear. Reuters and AP are reporting the claims made by Iran, but explicitly stating that they cannot be verified at this time. So that's kind of what's going on there. Okay, my mouth is back. Sorry. Technical errors. Donald Trump and Netanyahu are at this time calling for the Iranians to free themselves from their government. Though it should also be noted, while there's no official talks of instating anyone specific or in particular, there's always been speculation that they want the old leader to take over, Reza Pahlavi. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, so there's speculations that they might try to reinstate him. And regime change has been tried before. It has failed. It's gotten worse. But I thought that might be why they're wanting to go back because, again, it got worse after the regime change. So maybe they're thinking if we can get the old guy in, at least it won't be as bad. And again, it might not even be the same guy. But it's not guaranteed to be a success, but it's not guaranteed to be a failure either. As far as our allies go, we have some allies condemning the attack and some being in support of it. So let's see. As of those who condemn the attack, we have the German government, France. Britain is also condemning it. Let's see, yeah. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, let's see, he said that we do not want to see further escalation into a wider regional conflict. And he also says that The British planes are in the sky, coordinated regional defensive operations to protect allies and interests, but not for offensive strikes. And then you have a Canadian Prime Minister who expressed support, Australia and Ukraine as well. In a joint statement from Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, and Foreign Minister Anita Anand, they voiced support, saying Canada supports the United States in acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. Australian Prime Minister also endorsed the action on X. Australia stands with the brave people of Iran in their struggle against oppression. So remember, there's currently protest and riots in Iran, or I think they're calling it revolution because they are sick of their own government. So for decades, the Iranian regime has been a destabilizing force through. I clicked on it by accident. I'm not going to read all of this, don't worry. For decades, the Iranian regime has been a destabilizing force through its ballistic, missile, and nuclear program, support for armed proxies, and brutal acts of violence and intimidation. And then you have the Ukrainians also supporting it. The cause of the current events is precisely the violence and impunity of the Iranian regime, in particular the killings and repression of peaceful protesters, which have become particularly widespread in recent months, the foreign ministry said. So that's kind of a mixed bag of people who are supporting and opposing it. And then you have some people who don't like that we struck them, but also they don't like that Iran struck us back. So with the Republicans, you have them largely behind President Trump. And then, of course, the Democrats oppose it and say that these actions are illegal. Republicans want to prevent a nuclear Iran because it would be a horrible disaster for the world. They want to end the shadow war with their proxies. And they want to restore deterrence. That's what the Republicans want to do. The Democrats are saying that this is unconstitutional. They are focused on the reports of civilian casualties and are concerned about the regional instability in the area that these strikes may cause. As far as legalities go, I'm no lawyer. I can't describe whether or not this is legal or illegal. I'm sure there are smarter people than me who will do that. I've looked into the articles of powers, and it does seem that there is precedence of presidents using Article 2 for these kind of limited strikes. Again, I'm sure there's a nuance. To me, it seemed like it might be legal. So whether or not it's moral, it does seem that it's legal, but it might not be. Again, this is not a legal statement. We'll let other people get into that argument. But yes, Bill Clinton used Article 2 and launched a 78 NATO bombing campaign in Yugoslavia. Barack Obama in Libya authorized airstrikes in a no-fly zone. Donald Trump in 2018 ordered missile strikes on Syrian air bases. Joe Biden also used Article 2 to justify strikes against Iran-backed militia groups and Houthi targets in Yemen. So that's kind of the historical precedence for using the Article 2 powers. But there are debates whether or not this is legal. I guess we'll see later. And then just my opinions, because there are I want to find places of unity where we can get together and agree on things. I think a lost art is being able to disagree with someone, but still understanding where they're coming from. Oftentimes, I can still understand where someone's coming from, even if I disagree with them, but so often, especially online, that just feels like it's not the case. If you disagree with someone, you have to hate them, is what it seems like. Hopefully, we can at least see eye to eye. So, on some points of unity, approximately 79% of Americans, including 83% of Republicans and 79% of Democrats, oppose Iran developing nuclear weapons. Now, let's see. Both sides can acknowledge that Iran often is a bad actor and agree that its nuclear ambitions must be curtailed. Let's see. Both sides agree that the regime, the Iranian regime, oppresses its people. And there is a long list of human right violations that happen in Iran, such as unlawful killings, torture, oppression. Um, 2019, let's see. In 2019, there was a massacre called the Bloody Aban that was previously the deadliest crackdown in Islamic Republic history until 2025. There were over 1,500 people killed in less than 2 weeks. Um, it has world-leading execution rates. It has systematic torture and extrajudicial killings. There is punishment by death for women who do not wear their hijabs. The Iranian state enforces mandatory veiling through a combination of morality police, guidance patrols, and harsh legislation. A strict law that was set to take effect in 2024 and has seen intensified enforcement in 2026 allows judges to impose the death penalty for corruption on earth in cases of repeat or large-scale defiance of dress codes, mainly of not wearing your hijab, the facial coverings for women. Also, women aren't even allowed to dance in their own country. So, it does have a long list of human right violations. It has caused massive instability around the world. It funds well-known terrorist groups such as Hamas and the Houthis, as well as others, and it launches missiles and unprovoked attacks on foreign countries, constantly causing thousands of deaths. Again, I don't want military intervention. I don't want mass deaths and casualties, but there's clearly a long list of violations and horrible things that they've done throughout the decades and maybe even longer. I would hope that we can solve and settle these things peacefully, and that whatever the solution is, again, I'm just some guy on the internet. I don't have all the answers. I hardly have any answers at all. But whatever the solution is, I hope it comes about as quickly and peacefully as possible. Hopefully we can get back to negotiations. I don't want these mass deaths. I don't want endless wars, foreign interventions, if we can avoid them. I don't know everything happening behind the scenes, but hopefully we can get back to peace. And until then, I will be praying and hoping for peace. Hopefully others will too. Overall, there's just a lot of stuff that's not good about this, and hopefully that changes. Hopefully that changes. Well, that's all I have for now. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and sayonara later. Boop.